normal class now. A system is a combination of elements that manipulates one or more signals to accomplish a particular function and process some output. So for example, the meaning here is I will call this block as a system if I give some kind of input and if I'm getting some kind of output. Systems can be anything. For example, if my input is electrical signal and mechanical is output signal, what is the system? Please respond. If the input is an electrical signal and the output
Generator,
is output is mechanical.
sir.
Motor.
Motor,
So
sir.
that is, yeah. So electrical motor is a system. If I change the sequence of input and output, then it could be the generator or so on. So this is a fundamental definition of a system. That means a system is a combination of elements so that manipulates one or more signals. That means if you see the, let us assume the DC motor, it is a combination of elements because it has armature resistance, armature inductance, it may have some load, it may have some electrical and mechanical part. They are combined. So that's why DC motor is called as an electromechanical system, because the electrical signal, it has some electrical components as well as the mechanical components. So it generally converts the electrical signals to the mechanical or the torque, mechanical torque or so on. So it is a combination of elements. So that's what the DC motor has, several elements, which combination that manipulates one or more signals. So that what does it? The manipulation of one or more signal means here what it is doing is the input is electrical signal, which is the system is manipulating to produce the mechanical output. So that is called as a system definition. Types of systems. So these are the various types of systems. Each of the systems will go into much detail. Causal or and anti-causal, linear and non-linear, time variant and time invariant, stable and unstable, dynamic, static, invertible and invertible. We will see what are they. The causal system. A system is said to be the causal if the present value of the output, I will tell you, I will just let me go through this one. If the present value of the output signal depends only on the present and are past values of the input signal. The meaning here is, this is y is my output of, and let us assume n is the nth interval of time. It depends upon where x is the input plus some function of the input. You can see that if my output at n, the output that n is the present value, depends upon the present value of the input and the previous value of the, or the past value, n minus 1, that means past. So these type of systems, I call it as a causal system. Once again, if the present value of the output signal, this is the present value of the output, y of n is the present, depends only on the present or past values of the input signal, where the x of n is my past, x of n is my current input signal. So my output signal is a function of current input signal, because this x of n, x is my input, plus the previous values n minus 1 or the past values n minus 1, n minus 2, n minus 3. So we call it as a past value. So this kind of system is called as a causal system. If, for example, if this is n plus 1, that means if let us assume n equal to 1, the current time is n equal to 1. But to calculate this n equal to 1, I need the future. That means n plus 1. If this, instead of minus, if this is plus 1, I need the future value, and hence the system is anti-causal. We can see that anti-causal system is said to be the anti-causal. The present value of the output depends only on the future values of the input signal. So you can see that y of n, let us assume this one, y of n depends upon n plus 1. So that's why we are calling it as non-causal or anti-causal of the system. Whereas here you can see that it depends only on n minus in the past value, and this is the future value. So that's why we call it as output depends only on the future values of the input. So that's why this is a non-causal system, whereas this is a causal system. Okay, the next important property is linear and non-linear system, the next important classification. This is very, very important, and it is very much required for the practical applications as well. You might be aware of, the additive property and homogeneous property. I can say that a system is said to be the linear if it satisfies the principle of superposition. You might have already studied the principle of superposition in the networks or in mathematics or so on. So the same thing. If a system is given to you, and if it satisfies the principle of superposition and homogeneity property and additive property, we call that particular system as linear system. Otherwise, we call that particular system as nonlinear system. This is one such example, f of x. So by seeing the system itself, you can say whether it is a linear or non-linear. You can see that by seeing this particular system, as soon as if you see the square term, cube term, exponential term, absolute values, or trigonometric terms, we call that as a non-linear system, and it does not satisfy, these two properties, additive and homogeneity property. So by default, most of the systems are non-linear by nature. Any of the systems you take, they are the non-linear by nature. However, just for the sake of approximation, or what we say that for certain region, it can be treated as a linear. The simple resistor, Ohm's law, what you assume, V equal to IR, or V is directly proportional to I, and that proportionality constant is the resistance R. So for the very simple Ohm's law as well, we assume that it is a linear. However, in the practical cases, it is not nonlinear. What is the assumption there here is for the Ohm's law? The assumption is that temperature is constant. So the linearity will be applicable only if there is, if the change in temperature is very small, or more specifically, we assume that the temperature is constant. That means same resistor value will have different values of temperatures, different values of resistors based upon the temperature. So, however, as far as the linear, as far as the Ohm's law is concerned, we assume that the temperature of operation of your particular resistor circuit is the temperature is not much varying, or it is a constant, or the variation is very low, such that we assume that voltage is directly proportional to the current. So that is called as a linear system. And however, if you keep on changing, if you plot the x-axis with respect to the temperature is the temperature, and y-axis the resistor, what you will say that up to certain region it will remain constant. After that, suddenly it will jump. So that is the property of the nonlinear system. So this is one particular system, y equal to x square. As I told, as soon as if you see x square, x cube, x to the power of 10, or any exponential term, the system is nonlinear. However, we will prove here how to prove this y of t is a nonlinear. Consider the two different types of inputs. If your system is there, let us assume we'll go to the system. First, you excite the system with x1, and the system is x square. In our case, it is x square. And whatever you are getting here is the y. So what is going to happen if the x is here, then y equal to x square. In the first case, what I will do is x1, if I give the input, my output will be y1, and the corresponding in terms of the x is xn square. That's what I'm saying. And the y2, if I give the input as x of 2, then the corresponding output is x2 square. Then what we will see that we have to see the linear combination, additivity property. So a1 into y1 plus a2 into y2 I'm doing. So a1 into y1 plus a2 into y2. So what is going to happen? This y1 I'm substituting from here, and this y2 I'm substituting from here. So now what I'm saying is y3 dash as some function is a linear combination of some function of a1 into x1 plus a2 into x2. So this function is nothing but x square. So wherever this a1 x1 plus a2 x2, you replace this whatever the inside term, this function with the square term. And if I expand it, what is going to happen? A plus b whole square, a square plus b square plus 2ab. Now you can see that this y3, which is a linear combination of two outputs, and here what we are doing here is linear combination of inputs. I will explain this one more time. What is happening here is linear combination of outputs, and the linear combination of inputs, they're not satisfying. That means So what I did here is first I have given the input as x1 and I observed what is my output y1. So y1 is nothing but x1 square. Next I gave the input as x2 and then I saw the what is the output, that is also y2. Then I did the linear combinations, that means a1 into x1 plus a2 into x2, that I took as two different I did two different experiments on this system with x1 as one input, x2 as another input. Whatever the outputs I'm getting, I'm saying it is y1 and y2, and then I'm combining them linearly. So that is my first LHS. The right hand side, what I'm giving is instead of two times giving the same input, I have excited the system with only one input, a into x1, sorry, a1 into x1 plus a2 into x2, and whatever the output I'm getting, so that's what I'm seeing here. So this is that one. So here you can see that these two are not satisfied. So hence I can say that the system is non-linear. Can you please tell me, if instead of this x1 square, if it is only x, then what is going to happen? This is x1 and x2. So what is this is going to happen? A1 into x1 plus a2 into x2. Similarly, if I substitute this one, a1 into x1 plus a2 into x2, because there is no square if I assume that only x1. So my left hand side and the right hand side, both of them will be same, and hence the system will be linear. However, when it comes to x2, x square, then the system is non-linear. Okay. So the next thing is I will say whether the time variant and time invariant systems. A system is said to be time invariant if a time delay or time advance of the input leads to a identical time shift in the output signal. Okay. So a system is said to be time invariant if a time delay or time advance of the input signal leads to an identical time shift in the output signal. A very simple example of the time invariant system is if a system is varying with respect to the time, then we call it as a time invariant. Time variant. If it is not varying, we call it as a time invariant. A classical example of this one is, let us assume my system. I assume that my system is the overall weight of a vehicle. Okay. If I assume that my system is nothing but my system, the output of a system is overall weight of a system, and the input is fuel. So if my output of a system, let us assume, is the weight of a particular vehicle, then when can you say it is a time variant or time invariant? As the vehicle keep on moving, we call it as a time variant or time invariant. Could you please anyone respond? If I assume my system is a vehicle, and I assume that my input is the fuel, and the output is overall weight of the vehicle. So if the vehicle is keep on moving, then what can you say? Whether the system is time variant or time invariant. Okay, so let me explain you. The system is time variant up to a certain extent, and I will tell you why. Because as you keep on moving, the total weight of the vehicle will keep on reducing. Why? Because as you keep on moving, the total vehicle is nothing but vehicle of your weight of your vehicle plus weight of the fuel. As you keep on moving, then what is going to happen? The vehicle will keep on consuming the fuel, and hence the total weight of the vehicle will be reduced over a time. Isn't it? If the vehicle is keep on moving, let us assume your vehicle is 100 kgs. Let us assume the vehicle total weight is 100 kgs and the fuel is 110 kgs. So what is happening? Initially, it is 110 kgs. That means total weight of the vehicle and the fuel, the combination is 110 kgs. However, as you keep on moving, what will happen? The fuel get consumed, and at one point of time, what is going to happen is your fuel will be equal to 0, and hence the total weight will come down from 110 to 100. So for that particular instant of time when your vehicle is moving and consuming the fuel, you can call that system as time variant. That means with respect to the time, the weight of the vehicle varies. Okay. Otherwise, it is time invariant. If the vehicle is stationary, then whatever you see now and see after 10 hours, the weight will be the same. So during those aspects, we can say the time invariant, and when the vehicle is moving, we can call it as a time variant. The same vehicle or the operation of the vehicle can be treated as time variant operation or time invariant operation. Okay. The formal definition, what it says that a system is said to be time invariant if a time delay or time advance of the input signal leads to an identical shift in the output signal. That means if you are varying, let us assume this is y of t is my output and x of t is input. So what I'm doing here is I'm doing some delaying some or advancing some these things, the time, and it will have, if it has the identical time shift in the output signal, then I say, so this is the input signal, the identical time shift in the output signal, then we call it as a time invariant or the variant according. We'll see small example. Let us assume the sine of xt is my signal, okay, x of t. Then what I will say that y of t is my output. Then what I did here is x of t minus 1. X of t is actually the input. X of t is actually the input. But what I did is I delayed by t1. Then what is going to happen if I take this y of t, f of, if I substitute wherever this t is there, t minus 1, then this will become sine x of t minus 1. So here y represents the output due to the delay input. Okay, this is the output due to the delay input. And now what we are going to do here is now we delay the output, okay, by t1, and hence we had to replace t by t1 in the y of t, that equal to sine x of t. Then what is happening? Y of t minus 1 equal to sine x of t, t minus sine x of t minus t1. So that's what in these two equations it is getting same. So here the idea here is whatever you are seeing here is the difference here is the output, wherever that in the when you want to delay only the output by t1, wherever there is a output, you just replace it with t minus t1, then you will get the same. However, in the output of the system for the delayed input, that means if this is the system, let us assume this is the system, the input itself you are getting it delayed. But here what is happening in the output delayed means whatever the output you are getting, the output you are delaying by t1. So if that happens, then we call that particular system as time invariant system. Okay. Stable and unstable system. So this is very classical. You might have studied hundreds of stability definitions in the control systems or so on. So bounded input, bounded output is one such stability definition. Another is if all the poles are lying on the left of the line, we call it as a stable. Or if there is no changes in the route or the first column of the route service table, we call it as a stable. And there are many such, there are at least 50 definitions of such stabilities one can discuss. However, we are restricting ourselves to the bounded input, bounded output. So suppose if this is a signal, if this is a system, if I give the bounded input, that means the system has certain bounds. For example, the step signal has certain bounds, right? If it is a unit step, only one is the bound. So only one, it is not varying anything. And for that, if you are getting the output as well bounded, that means if the output is also within the limits, we call it as a bounded input and bounded output. Okay. So this is the quite definition. So what is saying that x of t, if the x of t, the absolute value of x of t is some maximum value is, let us assume this mx, which is less than infinity, and my y of t is also less than infinity, then we call it as a bounded input, bounded output, and hence the system is stable, otherwise unstable. The meaning here is if I give, let us assume if I give a little bit push to you, and you are going to fall down, so that is a kind of stable system, because unless if you are at the cliff of the mountain and if I push you, then if you keep on going down and going down, that means infinity, I will say that the top of the cliff is some finite value, and if the bottom of the cliff is if I consider it as infinity, then you keep on moving to the cliff. So if you keep on falling from the cliff, then I can say it is unstable system. Or if you are just standing at one place and if you give a little bit push, what is going to happen? Just your x and y position might change a little bit. So that is also bounded. So that is called as the input bounded and bounded input, bounded output. Unless if you are like a Balakrishna, if he hits you, if you are keep on moving in the space, then we call it as an unstable system. But I don't think you are Balakrishna or you any hero. So since you are a normal person, if you give a little push to one of your friends, then what is going to happen? He'll move little bit. So that's why. So bounded input, little bit of force if you are applying, then output little bit movement. So that is called as a bounded input. If you're Balakrishna, if you even apply little bit of force, then he will keep on, moving in the space, keep on going to infinity. So that is unstable system. Okay, so this is the stable and unstable system. What this is let us assume for this particular system, then you can say that x of n is the maximum value. You know that what is going to have the maximum value of the delayed or whatever may be. So that is become 1 by 3 into this thing, so m of x. So generally, you can see that if the system has the value something like this, x of n, n minus 1, n minus 2, the past values, then it gives us, the finite, input, finite output. Then we call it as a stable system. Okay. For example, this is the unstable system. The system represented by y of t equal to a into x of t is unstable if a is greater than 0. Then what is going to happen? Assume that x of t equal to u of t. Then at every instant of u, you will keep on multiplying with a, and hence it will not be bounded. So that's what I'm saying, that if a keep on multiplying with a, then it is not a bounded signal.